Most people were taught that prayer is about asking. You ask God for money. You ask God for love. You ask God to fix your health, your life, your situation. And then you wait. You hope. You try to believe hard enough that maybe, if you're worthy, if you're faithful, if it's somehow meant to be, something will change. But if that were true, prayer would work far more consistently than it does. And the quiet frustration so many people feel with manifestation, prayer, and faith wouldn't exist. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The Bible was never teaching you how to ask. It was teaching you how to be. And that distinction changes everything. Take one of the most quoted verses in all of Scripture. Ask, and you shall receive. On the surface, it sounds simple, but when you look closer, when you step outside centuries of translated theology and into the original language, the meaning shifts completely. In the original Aramaic context, the structure of that phrase implies something radically different. It's not ask and then wait. It's ask, believing it has already been done, and then you will receive. That single shift changes the entire mechanism. It means the outcome does not depend on God deciding later. It depends on the state you occupy now. It puts the responsibility, the causality, and the creative power back on the individual. You were never meant to ask from lack. You were meant to assume from completion. This aligns perfectly with a pattern that runs through the entire Bible once you know how to see it. Scripture is not written in the language of desire. It is written in the language of identity. Not I want, not I hope, but I am. God's name itself is not a title, it's a state. I am, not I will be, not I might be. Consciousness asserting itself as present reality. When Jesus says, "Before Abraham was, I am," he is not making a historical claim. He is making a metaphysical one. Identity precedes form. State precedes circumstance. This is why manifestation fails for so many people. They are trying to change reality while staying the same person. They want new outcomes while maintaining the identity that produced the old ones. They ask for money while still being someone who needs money. They ask for love while still being someone who feels unchosen. The asking itself reveals the state, and reality is not moved by words. It is moved by assumption. This is why another verse that has been deeply misunderstood suddenly becomes crystal clear when read through the lens of identity. To those who have, more shall be given. To those who have not, even what they have shall be taken away. This was never a moral judgment. It was never about greed or punishment. It is a description of how reality reinforces state. Have does not mean possession. It means self-concept. Those who are in the state of having experience more. Those who are in the state of lack experience contraction, not because they are bad, but because consciousness multiplies itself. The universe does not respond to effort. It responds to coherence. This is where centuries of misinterpretation enter the picture. As institutions formed, power required dependency. Dependency requires external authority. And external authority requires removing the idea that the individual is the creative center. So metaphysics became morality. Identity became obedience. And manifestation became God's will. The message subtly shifted from assume and receive to ask and wait, from inner authority to external permission. But the Bible itself never supports that shift when read plainly. The kingdom of heaven is within you, not coming later, not mediated by an institution, not unlocked by behavior. Within, internal, present, a state, not a destination. According to your faith, it shall be done unto you. Faith here is not belief. Belief is mental agreement. Faith is embodied certainty. It is who you are being when no evidence supports you yet. This is where modern manifestation language and ancient scripture quietly meet. Quantum physics tells us the observer collapses possibility into form. Neville Goddard called it the law of assumption. Jesus taught it through parables. Different language, same mechanism. You do not manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. That's why techniques fail when identity stays untouched. Affirmations feel hollow because they are spoken from a state that contradicts them. Visualization fails because it's treated as fantasy rather than embodiment. Prayer feels unanswered because it's offered from separation instead of union. When the original instruction says, "Ask believing it has been done," it is not asking you to pretend. It is asking you to shift states, to move internally into the version of yourself for whom the outcome is normal, expected, ordinary. And once you do that, action changes automatically. You move differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. Not because you're trying, but because that's what someone in that state does. This is why desperation kills manifestation. Desperation is proof of identity. It says, "I am the one who does not have," and reality faithfully reflects it. This is also why waiting is such a dangerous habit. Waiting assumes delay is necessary. Waiting assumes the cause is outside you. Waiting keeps identity frozen. In Scripture, when healings occurred, Jesus never said, "Wait and see what happens." He said, "It is done." Completion language, present tense, identity affirmed. And here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. This means no one is coming to save you from yourself, not because you are abandoned, but because you were never meant to outsource authorship of your life. You were given identity, not wishes. Once you see this, the Bible stops being mysterious and starts being practical. It stops being about appeasing God and starts being about aligning with reality. You stop asking why manifestation doesn't work and start asking a more dangerous question. Who am I being that makes this outcome inevitable? Because inevitability is the signature of identity. This is not about forcing belief or pretending emotions don't exist. Feeling is not emotion. Feeling is acceptance. It is the quiet internal, of course, the calm expectation that does not need reassurance. When you ask from that place, you are not asking at all. You are declaring alignment. And then receiving is not a reward. It is a consequence. The Bible was never hiding this. It was encoded in plain sight. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The only question left is whether you're willing to stop asking from who you've been and start assuming from who you already are. Because the moment you do, the verse finally tells the truth it always carried. Believe it is done, and you shall receive.